This is a man's world. This is a man's world. But it wouldn't be nothing, nothing without a woman or a girl. You see, man made the car to take us over the road.
Thank you for joining us today on Understanding Men. I'm your host, Marcus Watts. This is a show that helps young men to understand how to be more responsible and positive men. Today's topics are going to be how a relationship with God can help you to be a more positive man, and also how music can influence you. Today, I want to start out with the scripture from Proverbs. King Solomon in Proverbs 1, 8-9 said, "My children, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instructions. What you learn from them will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck." The importance of receiving instruction, the reason I read this is because a lot of times we don't realize that our Father in heaven guides us daily. And we need to understand that we need to heed his instructions, just as we heed our earthly parents' instructions. So today, we're going to discuss that. And when we come back from commercial, we will talk with John the Revelator regarding these subjects.
Why sit around just watching movies or TV shows when you could be making or starring in them? Get behind or in front of the camera and turn your passion into a profession with the help of the Kavanaugh Entertainment Group and their hands-on programs in digital video, TV, and film productions. They can teach you about this exciting industry. You can acquire skills in production, camera operation, acting on camera, set lighting, video editing, and so much more. For a tour of the studio or to get more information, call or email the Kavanaugh Entertainment Group.
Welcome back to Understanding Men, the show that creates positive men. Today we're going to have a very special guest, and his name is Pastor John the Revelator. Pastor John, come on. Good to see you, sir. All right. Today's topics are how a relationship with God is important to create a positive man. What I want you to do first is just give us a brief bio of who you are and let the people know what you do.
Sure. I'm Pastor John Revelator Irving, CEO of the Renaissance Center, AB's Art Hub on the Boulevard, and also pastor of Holy Renaissance Church, which is a fine arts ministry. As CEO of the center, we host a place that promotes positive art. We create positive artists. We call them Knights, which stands for Knowledgeable Nation, Igniting Generations with Holy Truth. It's a culture of artists who have dedicated their life and their craft to the honor and glory of Christ and to glorify Him in all that we do and edifying mankind. We do classes during the day and events in the evening, events like Out Loud Poets Night or Jazz House, Friday Night Live, things like that. As pastor of Holy Renaissance Church, it's a fine arts ministry, which simply means the arts is our choice weapon to use to propel the gospel. We do classes during the day and events in the evening, events like Out Loud Poets Night or Jazz House, Friday Night Live, things like that. As pastor of Holy Renaissance Church, it's a fine arts ministry, which simply means the arts is our choice weapon to use to propel the gospel, both in the ministry and in the community as well. So that's what we do.
Now, you said you guys are, where are you located at?
Right here on Lancaster Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah.
On, what's the address?
647 Lancaster Boulevard.
647 Lancaster Boulevard.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I like the acronym of Knights. Yeah. It's interesting. How did you come up with that?
Well, I was an artist. I went to, I came from Texas, came out here, and was looking for myself as an artist, an actor, as a poet. And I found myself a lot of times, my pearls to swine. I was in the industry, had an agent, and, at the same time, I received my calling. and I had a choice to make. I would get roles that would compromise who I was as God's child, and the struggle was to try to balance those two, and I couldn't. And I found myself many times selling out or gaining the world but losing my soul. At one point, my wife, she said, John, I'd never seen you sell out before. And that's when I broke. And I was in the church about 2 o'clock in the morning painting. And the Lord said, John, the problem is you're trying to fit into a shoe that doesn't fit you. You're trying to partake when I created you to take over.
Right.
And at that point in time, I said, I'm never going to give my pearls to swine again. At that point, I was over the arts ministry, my pastor's church, and we created nights. I said we're gonna be nights. An artist serves their art, a knight serves God through their art, and so that's how this culture of nightlife kind of came about.
Okay. Yeah. Now you deal primarily with teenage children or younger children. What's the age range?
Age range, we have all ages. We have the teens are there, man. We have the young adults and the 20s and early 30s, 40s, 50s. They come through as well. We have this awesome jazz cat, man. I'm not going to tell you his age.
Oh, you can tell his age.
He's sitting over there. He's about 7.
I see
and
him.
He's the baddest brother on the planet, man. He get out there with those cats and those kids and out dancing, out playing, out grooving. So, man, young at heart. We do.
Yeah, I walked past and I saw the television with the young men and women were dancing and just enjoying themselves. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that church is not what it used to be in the past, where you came in, you hung, you looked, you listened, then you left. Now it's everybody's involved.
Yeah.
And it's a joyous occasion, which praising God should be
a joyous occasion.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, as an artist, you learn that you adapt and you die.
Right.
The greatest of the artists, musicians and whatnot, are those who can stay relevant as styles and music styles change over time. Right. And so the church has to do the same thing. The church has to be able to adapt to the culture around herself without compromising her truths or her standards. She has to stay relevant, just like a music artist or a painter or a poet. You have to stay relevant. You have to know what's going on so that you can relate to the people. Jesus was one who was able to relate directly to the people. He used parables they would understand. He blended to the point where when Judas came to get him with the soldiers, they didn't know which one he was.
Right.
He had to kiss him. He had to ask him. Yeah. Kiss him on the cheek because he was able to blend in and mesh with this environment without compromise. And so the church has to do the same thing. We're right here on the strip, and I'm so glad right now. We're not in a place where we're far off on a hill where you got to come find us. Right. People are walking right past us many times. I've been over there. They think they're walking into an art club or poets lounge. And, we let it be so. The Spirit just kind of hits and takes it.
We'll be right back.
Why sit around just watching movies or TV shows when you could be making or starring in them? Get behind or in front of the camera and turn your passion into a profession with the help of the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group and their hands-on programs in digital video, TV, and film productions. They can teach you about this exciting industry. You can acquire skills in production, camera operation, acting on camera, set lighting, video editing, and so much more. For a tour of the studio or to get more information, call or email the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group.
Now, as I said, we're talking today about how a relationship with God can create positivity. And the reason I use the word relationships, because I don't believe in religion. I think religion is traditional. It's been something that has been handed down through the years, like you do at Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And my belief is that you have to have a relationship with someone in order to know them.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. What are your views on that?
Well, I'll put it in standards that our young men can get. And tell me what camera I need to look into to make this point. Am I going right here? In business, in art, in music, everything is based on relationships. Sometimes whether you get the job or not, or whether you get into college or not, or whether mom will let you use the car for the weekend. Everything is based on your relationship with somebody. You know, I can know you, but unless I know you, there's some things that are blocked off to me. And so for you future businessmen, for you Christians, everything, especially in your business world, 'cause I'll talk about your money because I know we can relate on that area. It's all based in who you know and how well you know them. So in Christendom, it's no different. I can't even get into heaven without a relationship with the mediator that can get me through the door. So the same way it is in business is exactly how it is in kingdom. And in regards to men, the stronger the relationship with God, the more access you have to His knowledge, His wisdom, and all the things you need to go forth. It's all based. Everything is based in who you know and how you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because some years back, and I tell this story to everyone. I've probably said it on past segments how me and my earthly father's relationship was once estranged. Mm-hmm. Now we're the best of friends because I've opened myself up to that relationship. Yeah. And opening myself up to the relationship with God has opened myself up to everything else. So it's important. Right. Now, I know you guys do musical events and spoken word nights and things like that. How have you noticed that create the positivity in the young men and women that come into your organization?
Well, I think there's a split between, and it's partially our fault as pastors and preachers. We've separated God, church, and life. Here's the church on Sunday, and here's having a good time and enjoying my life. And we've made it to where they're two separate things. This is Monday through Friday where I can breathe and live and have fun and be free. This is the church where I have to be rigid and I can't take that out, son, and don't you. And I grew up in an old school church. You could dance, you could anything. Some of these kids break dancing in front of my spot. They be doing the hell about some more things. So what we've done is said, okay, because the children couldn't bring the talents into the church because us old school, afraid of this religious mindset, said keep that out. The enemy said, well, come on, you can come to my club, you can come on this way. But his way is distorted. And so by the time they get to the enemy's camp, they have the freedom, but at what cost? They can't overlose the soul. But that's our fault because the enemy's going to do what we're not going to do. In marriage, brothers, the enemy's going to send the brother to do for her what you're not going to do for her. So that's how he works. So we said, okay, we have to combine the church in living back together. To have God is to have freedom. To have God is to have fun. To have God. That's why we're open 7 days a week, and that's why we have the events, the poets' lounges, and the rap battles, and the DJ mixing things like that. In the same place we have our service, because we want the kids to know there's no difference between Monday through Sunday. The same place you worship, the same place you have a good time, the same place you can bust 16 bars. It's all for God. And that really curves the arts in the direction God wants them to go. It actually curves the person. Because they realize, wait a minute, I don't have to sell out to enjoy myself.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk about that music. We're also going to have a young man who's a writer, director, and actor, and I think you know him.
All right.
And we're going to sit here, we're going to chop it up with him. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Why sit around just watching movies or TV shows when you could be making or starring in them? Get behind or in front of the camera and turn your passion into a profession with the help of the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group and their hands-on programs in digital video, TV, and film productions. They can teach you about this exciting industry. You can acquire skills in production, camera operation, acting on camera, set lighting, video editing, and so much more. For a tour of the studio or to get more information, call or email the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group.
Welcome back to Understanding Men. Brother, that was some powerful stuff. I like that.
I'm God be glory.
I want you to do me a favor. There's a young man out there that is going through the struggle right now.
Okay.
He has no knowledge of how to get away from that struggle. He doesn't understand that God brings you to it, He's going to take you through it.
Right.
So he doesn't understand that. explain to him, talk to him as if you're talking to him, and help him to find that revelation.
Okay. Young brother, first of all, give me some pound. What's up? Listen very closely. I don't have a lot of time. It's like this. Jeremiah 29:11 says that I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to bless you, prosper, not to harm you, to give you hope in the future. Get to that bottom of that scripture. It says, you'll seek me when you find me when you seek me with your whole heart. Let me break it down like this, like it was broken down to me. The very camera that you're looking at right now, that you're seeing me through, that camera was invented by somebody. Somebody said, you know what, we need a way to film somebody preaching the gospel, doing whatever. I know, I'll invent a camera. So ask yourself, what came first, the camera or the need for the camera? The need for the camera. Same with you. What came first, you or the need for you? You had an invention too. Someone in heaven said, hey, I need somebody your height, your size, your weight, who talks like you, with your swag and your hairstyle and with your shoe size, to go on the earth and do my bidding. So what came first, the you or the need for you? The purpose for you came first. The purpose is what brought you to the earth that you're on right now. So here's the thing. This Canon camera that you're watching with, it was invented, but there was an instruction manual. And I guarantee that when this man opened up this camera, there was an instruction manual in it. And the more he understands that instruction manual, the more he understands how to work this camera can. Same with you. You came with an instruction manual. And that's the relationship with Christ. The more you understand that instruction manual that came with you, the more you will understand your purpose, how God made you, and what he made you for and to do. There are buttons on this camera that without that instruction manual, the cameraman wouldn't even know he could do that. He's probably still discovering stuff about this camera right now. Oh, wow, I didn't even know I could do this and do that. I didn't even know it could fade to black and white and blah, blah, blah. It's all in the manual. And the more he understands the manual, the more he can operate his camera. And the more you understand Christ with the relationship with him, the more you will understand your manhood, the more you will understand your purpose, because it was the very purpose that brought you to existence. That's all I got to say. Love you, man. Nightlife.
Okay, before we go, I want you to do one thing. Tell them where they can come talk to you at. Give them a number. Let them know how to reach you, because he just heard you like I heard you. And if he heard you like I heard you, he called.
Got it. Get at me, bro. I'm at 647 Lancaster Boulevard on Lancaster and Dade, Renaissance Center. Look for the night in the window. You can call 661-916-4838. Write it down. Say it again. 661-916-4838. We are in there all the time, nightlifing. You're going to love it. It's fun. It's home. It's cool. It's swag. It's you.
All right. So look, we got a young man I know you know. You can hang out with him.
I can hang.
You can hang. All right. Good. We're going to talk to him.
Okay.
He got something going on, and I need to get that out there too.
Got it.
I checked him out, and I'm kind of excited about this young man.
Yeah, I've seen.
We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Don't go nowhere. And we're going to have our next guest, Brian Tucker. We'll be right back.
Why sit around just watching movies or TV shows when you could be making or starring in them? Get behind or in front of the camera and turn your passion into a profession with the help of the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group and their hands-on programs in digital video, TV, and film productions. They can teach you about this exciting industry. You can acquire skills in production, camera operation, acting on camera, set lighting, video editing, and so much more. For a tour of the studio or to get more information, call or email the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group.
Welcome back to Understanding Men. I am so proud that we had you on here today.
Man,
Boy, you almost had me up shouting praise right now, right? Anyway, I want to bring in this friend of yours, and I know you have to go, so we're going to bring in this friend so you can shake hands with him before you go.
all right.
We're going to ask him a couple questions. Brian Tucker.
Brian Tucker.
Director, actor, at the young age of 28. Man, that's awesome. Brian, come on in. How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad you could make it.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's looking good. Sit on down.
Trying to look like it.
Hey, we all have, we doing all right. The brothers got it. Woo! I don't know if you caught what he was saying to that young man.
Man, I was in the back getting chills and goosebumps, but man.
Hey, you know what that's called, right? That's called the spirit.
Oh, yeah.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
This brother right here, I saw one of his films, and it was comedic, and I just found it so interesting. A young man as young as you could think of something like that. Not that you couldn't, but it just, it amazes me to watch what the younger generation are able to do. Tell us a little bit about that film.
Yeah, the film is called Are We Thieves? It's a comedy. I came with the topic out of just thinking of with robberies being just be unreal, just very unpredictable, and just everyone's you see the good plot movies of just Ocean's 13, all the movies, but then you have it's always the funny robberies that actually go when people do something like idiotic. Right. And I really thought, I came with the topic of Are We Thieves? Is a robbery gone wrong, with two robbers that don't really know what they're doing. Starts off with one of the robbers, who's the main guy, is named Steve, which is played by myself. Is actually doing a robbery with Rudy. And this is his person he met for the first time, and Rudy's a complete idiot, and he doesn't know what's going on. He believes in, it's just like before we get to a robbery, practice my gun posters and everything, praying before you're robbing somebody.
Praying before you're robbing.
Right. So, I hope
Rudy ain't gonna live long as a robber.
Well, pretty much they both, in the end, they fail. But it's just like, because they want to be robbers, and their way of being successful robbers, they want to start small and rob a cafe place. And the reason a cafe place, you have stuff going on with miscellaneous people. So, that's a comedy.
It was real interesting when I was watching. We're going to take a quick minute because Pastor has an appointment. We don't want to keep him from his appointment.
Yes, sir.
Our steps are directed by God, so we want your steps to be directed where they should go.
But I love to say, man, what he's doing as an artist, making a comedy is a great step for us as a ministry too, as a church, because normally we don't do stuff like that. We make a movie about the Bible or something like that. But to make a comedy about robbery in God's house is great, because normally we don't touch that kind of stuff. So this is great.
And it's funny you say that, because there's not a subject that God doesn't touch.
Right.
So if we are created after His own image, we should be able to address these subjects to the members so that they can understand the detraction from going that way.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes we need to laugh, man.
Yeah.
I'm not praising all the time. I need to laugh sometimes.
It's healing.
It really is. And if you don't do it, then I can't tell the church, don't go see such.
Exactly.
Don't go see Booty Call. But we gotta
have a guy talking about rock.
Right. So there you have it.
Hey man, you preach. That's all I can say. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Don't you go nowhere.
Yes, sir.
Come back and we're going to talk to Brian. Pastor, I really appreciate it.
That's my pleasure.
We'll be right back.
Why sit around just watching movies or TV shows when you could be making or starring in them? Get behind or in front of the camera and turn your passion into a profession with the help of the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group and their hands-on programs in digital video, TV, and film productions. They can teach you about this exciting industry. You can acquire skills in production, camera operation, acting on camera, set lighting, video editing, and so much more. For a tour of the studio or to get more information, call or email the Cavanaugh Entertainment Group.
Welcome back to Understanding Men, the show that was created to help young men be more positive men. Now, I say young men, but in my heart, in my mind, we're all young men. Doesn't matter what age, so understand that. Brian, it's good to have you. Oh, boy.
Pleasure to be here.
Pastor was something else, huh?
Man, I'm happy I was actually here to actually just hear everything saying, so much motivation and about spirituality, with God. It was touching. It's like I was in the back hearing a lot of stuff that he was saying, and it was just so encouraging, and it even motivated me even more. And that's just something that you actually need. It's just it's always a great essence to always have a good spiritual life. And to a lot of entrepreneurs and everybody pursuing things, a spiritual life really does help. I think it's really imperative that everyone has one, honestly.
I find it interesting how he broke it down on the instruction manual. And I tell my son that so many times that you were created. You didn't just pop up. You didn't just come here. It's like you and I. And you need to understand that there's a plan for your life. See, we're not just here just to hop around through life.
Right.
And I'm sure that played a big part in you deciding to go into the field that you're in, which is directing, acting, and writing.
Right. Well, it's funny. The things I work with, learn through life. I never really. My first thing was not always acting. My main thing was mostly basketball, and it's funny how basketball led me to acting. And as the stuff I'm doing now, I look back on life, I notice what was my gift and talent and purpose. And through a lot of stuff with kids, I explain the story, and I can grab certain people's attention, audience, how I telegraph it to everyone. And through the moral stories, it's how I got there. And when I got to the point, it's just of doing acting, writing, directing, it's just wow, this was part of my purpose. This is my gift and talent. I didn't know that all along.
Do you find yourself using seeking God when you have issues and trials and things, you bump in your head?
Oh, as always. I think that's forever foremost my first. I think I always like to. It's not just because I was brought up as a Christian through my parents, but the way I like acknowledging God and keeping God into all my doings and everything what I'm doing, so I can have a better understanding, and in that way, all my gifts and talents are being put to use. Mm-hmm. That's what I really take heed to that. That's foremost.
So, let me put it like this, and then you correct me. You had just this awesome life. You didn't have any problems, and everything worked out perfect.
No. No. Well, we all would like to think that, but it doesn't work like that. You can look at any celebrity from Denzel Washington, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Halle Berry, so on and so on. There's always rocky times, and that's the thing about it with most likely pursuing something that you have desire for. Pursuing your dreams, you got to know is you got to take the good with the bad, and there are going to be rocky times. And still the grass, it's times that I'm still doing things that it's so frustrating that I get. It's just so much time that I've tried to do a certain scene, get certain actors, or there's just something that doesn't go right, or with anything. But it's really the grass that I'm learning is just you got to enjoy your journey, and regardless through the good and the bad. And the more when you grasp that, is the more you can actually it won't be a hindrance to yourself, and it helps develop character and strength. And a lot of people seek not to actually try to avoid that, but adversity hits in life. Right. But the main thing is we can't let adversity really stop us, and that's the problem with a lot of people that actually pursue their dreams. They run into that, and sometimes that actually destroys your passion or what you're doing.
I noticed you got a cross, so that cross is there for what reason?
Actually, this is it's funny. A lot of people think it's oh, so where did you get this cross? This is actually this is a Japanese symbol.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Correct.
No.
Chinese symbol. And this is given to me from one of my moms. So.
And what does it mean?
It means peace.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wear peace now. That's interesting you say that because I was in my studies, shalom and things of that nature, peace. Jesus told us that he left us and that he came to give us peace, but not as the world gives us peace, but his peace.
Right.
And I'm wondering how much of that peace plays a part in your everyday life and how you're doing your